Knuckles TV series, or more like Wade Whipple show. I can't lie, I was very optimistic if it comes to this show. I am a lifelong Sonic fan. Ever since I could play games on my PC, there was always Sonic games on it. Later came anime called Sonic X, and there was also this weird and still fun cartoon called Sonic Underground. And in 2020, after they obviously fixed how Sonic looked to look more like an actual Sonic instead of the crack-addicted creature that they presented in the first trailer, came out Sonic the Hedgehog movie. And Sonic movie also has its sequel, and both of these movies were pretty good, family friendly and fun to watch. So in the second movie, for the first time we saw the appearance of Knuckles, one of the most important characters in the Sonic universe, beloved by fans and by some of them even more than Sonic himself. Voiced by Idris Elba, so Paramount decided to capitalize more on the franchise by releasing Knuckles series on Paramount Plus. They cooked it up, got the actual actors to voice the characters and even star in it, and they dumped it all at once because we all know how well dropping the entire show at one day does for the streaming service and the show in general. I finally decided to watch it, and maybe it would be better if I wouldn't. There is a massive amount of problems with this show, but the biggest one of them must be Wade fucking Whipple, who for some reason takes most screen time in the show titled Knuckles. He is goofy, cringe, constantly talks to himself, and he is a big loser. But that's not all. The show also introduces us to Whipple family. We have his mom, which is probably one of the most normal characters in the show, and we also have his sister, who is infuriating, and both her and Wade act like two 5-year-olds, and the jokes involving both of them are so forced and simply none of them land. Hell, to prove that this is a Wade Whipple show even more, we have a intro sequence where we get this drawing of Knuckles, but when it comes to the end, we don't see the title Knuckles, we get Wade Whipple. So what is the premise of the show? It's about Knuckles, allegedly, who has to help Wade win a bowling tournament. Yes, I'm not joking. And in the meantime, we also have the Hound from Game of Thrones hiring Gunn to get him Knuckles so he can take his energy and power up his mech. The story of the show makes absolutely no sense and feels like it was shoehorned into this franchise just because Paramount wanted more money from Knuckles fans. The whole show is filled with stupid scenes which make no actual sense and feel like they were included just to fill out the runtime so Paramount can squeeze 6 episodes of a tremendous length, merely 25 to 30 minutes each. If you cut out some of these ridiculous scenes, which are hard to even watch, you probably could have had just a Knuckles movie instead of the show. But if you wanted a theatrical movie, you would have to have at least decent writing, which unfortunately the show doesn't have. Let's start from this. The first episode is actually decent, and it will get your hopes up that this is a level that you can expect from this show. It's not anything extraordinary, but more or less pleasant to watch. Knuckles can't really get himself to feel like home on Earth and Green Hills, and constantly tries to be a warrior, messes few things up, gets grounded, and gets visited by Chief Pachacamac Spirit, who tells him to train Wade Whipple. Who is Wade Whipple? A fat guy loser who can't do anything right, gets abandoned by his best friend, in quotations, because he lost at bowling to a little girl. So Knuckles ignores being grounded and decides to go with Wade to Nevada for bowling tournament. And the weakest point of the episode is, you guessed it, Wade Whipple. Episode 2 is already more focused on Wade, but Knuckles is steered a good part of the episode. Some scenes are funny and it goes more into a slapstick comedy where we are supposed to laugh at mainly Wade being a loser and completely useless. But it's still somewhat fun to watch despite of its stupidity, where we get scenes like Wade defeating Kid Cudi. Yes, Kid Cudi is in the show and gets knocked out by Wade with a hot sauce, and later he basically takes himself out. At the end of the episode, we get the information that there's a bounty placed on Wade Whipple's head. So we don't really know why all of a sudden the bounty is on Wade, and everyone in the show from now on wants to catch Wade instead of Knuckles. But the real problem with the show starts when we reach episode 3, and at this point it only gets worse. Episode 3 is the episode when we are introduced to Wade Whipple's family. We watch how Wade and his sister act like little kids, and Knuckles with Mama Whipple talk about their cultures, Knuckles about the past and the tribe, and Whipple mom about Shabbat. We get this idiotic scene when Wade's sister stabs him with a fork, and it's treated as a joke, but nobody's laughing. The episode is a peak cringe, and at times it's borderline unwatchable. And nothing really happens in this episode outside of the confrontation with some bounty hunters at the end who want to catch Wade. The only thought keeping you watching episode 3 is hopes that episode 4 is going to be better. There is no way the show could fall lower than that.
Surprise, motherfucker!
It could, because turns out episode 4 is even worse. This is the worst episode of the show. And you guessed it, it's entirely about Wade. Knuckles appears only on the beginning of the episode for a few seconds. After that, it's all Wade Whipple baby. He gets kidnapped by his ex-friend, a bounty hunter. The whole time Wade is in the cage, gets electrocuted a lot, and when he loses consciousness, he gets treated with a musical about history of Knuckles, where Wade wears Knuckles' suit, and the lesson helps him jump out of the cage. And after that we get some more lame jokes where Wade and his ex-friend can't really hear each other before they start to battle. And they battle on motorcycle and Wade is on a bicycle. Wade makes his ex-friend cry and comes back on his motorcycle to his mom's house. The entire episode is pointless, it makes no actual sense, it's just plain stupidity of the script intertwined with musical. And by the way, I kinda doubt that this episode had any script whatsoever. It's so lame, so stupid and cheap, I actually think the whole shit show was a one big improv. Some of the songs on the musical didn't even sound like singing, but people talking, and for some unknown fucking reason, Michael Bolton agreed to sing in that shit of an episode. Probably the only listenable parts of the musical are when Michael Bolton was actually singing. But when you watch it and you arrive at the end, you think, okay, so that's going to be better, right? Technically, it is better in the next episode, but not by much. In the penultimate episode, we get to the tournament, where we get to meet Wade's dad. The most of the time we spend watching Wade and his dad talk and bowl. Knuckles is only for a while in the episode, again, where he tries to help Wade talk with his dad, but things he says are completely off and involves revenge and all of this stuff. If this scene would be 3 times shorter, I would be inclined to say it was funny, but it drags on and overstays its welcome and gets tiring as you listen to what is not even Knuckles. At this point, I finally understood. This show portrays Knuckles not as a lost warrior, it portrays him as in complete dunce. Meaning, it's Sonic Boom's Knuckles, not actual Knuckles. The whole episode is mainly about Wade and his dad talking and bowling, and in the end, we find out that Dad is a douche and gave up Wade to gun agents, and also gave them the idea to kidnap his mom and his sister and take them as hostages. The episode ends with Wade and Knuckles going to the elevator and Wade letting Knuckles go upstairs by himself as if he is betraying him. And after this, something is happening that makes no actual sense and portrays the inconsistency of the show from one episode to another. It happened in the episodes 2 and 3. When Mom sees Wade, she faints instantly. But the episode 3 starts when Wade is talking to his mom, then the annoying sister comes in, and Mom faints only after seeing Knuckles. So that leads us to episode 5 and 6, when in episodes 5, Knuckles for the entire time is in his room eating chips. Wade goes to him, takes him to the elevator under a pretense that he's going to meet his dad, and we see the entire interaction between these two. The episode 6 starts as Wade talks with gun agents that Knuckles is going up to them, and as they fire into the elevator, turns out that there's only a red suit in it, and Knuckles is on the elevator ceiling, and we are told that he had an earbud and was listening to them for the entire time. First, no, he wasn't. Second, where did the red suit come in? Did Knuckles pull this suit out of his ass? The show treats us viewers as complete idiots who are going to buy whatever happened here. It feels like Wade was actually supposed to betray Knuckles, but the creators decided to shift things up at the last minute because they realized that this would actually cross out Wade completely in the eyes of the viewers. These things actually don't add up, and the only other show that changed things like this from one episode's ending to another episode's beginning was probably Riverdale. And at this point, Knuckles' TV show lands at the same level as Riverdale season 3 onwards. The entire last episode goes like this: another fight with gun in the father's penthouse, bowling tournament, Wade wins by sheer luck, and at the end we get fight between Knuckles, Wade and the Hound in his mech suit. And it's also ridiculous how Knuckles gets his powers sucked out of him by the Hound, but he wakes up at the last moment and has enough power to steal his power back from the mech. Wade is also fighting, throwing bowling balls at the mech, and it ends by them crushing the guy with a big steel ball from the building. The main bad guy doesn't even have a name. They refer to him simply as the buyer for the entire time, and we are told that somehow in the past he worked with Dr. Robotnik. After all this fuckery, Wade picks up his trophy after his mom knocks that out when he tries to steal it, and we get this abrupt ending as Wade and Knuckles are about to high-five in the air, and personally I just couldn't believe what the fuck did I just watch. The entire show had no story, no idea for itself. It was supposed to be a Knuckles show and ended up being Wade fucking Whipple TV show. And the reason may be because the CGI in the show looks actually pretty decent, so it would cost more money if this would be actually Knuckles show and he would be more present in the show, so that's probably why they went with Wade Whipple show to save more money on the production. We get the after credit scene when Wade turns the music on and Knuckles finds his jam finally. What was even point of this show existing? If you loved Sonic movies, you're probably better off not watching Knuckles show because you miss out on nothing. And there is nothing to justify wasting your time on this excuse of a show. And of all things, it's supposed to be Knuckles show. The characters that is a lone wolf, warrior who has hard time accepting that he has any friends and doesn't want any help from anyone, but if they need help, he will help them. But we received Sonic Boom's Knuckles, stupid, careless, irresponsible idiot with a fridge temperature IQ. If you want to watch this show anyway, you need to be prepared to be disappointed. And even when you're going to be prepared to be disappointed, you still are going to be disappointed after you finish watching it anyway. I have no idea for whom this show was created. It's not for Sonic fans, it's not for a family, it's not for kids. I wouldn't say it's for kids, not after looking at how Wade and his sister are behaving, where Wade gets even stabbed with a fork by his sister, and later in the show he gets multiple times electrocuted by his supposedly ex-best friend. I don't know for whom this show is, but I know one: you don't really have to watch it, and if you don't want to waste time, I would actually advise you to skip it entirely.